Okay, Abaye had given 3 cases of shtikodo. We're going to go into it a little more. And I'm sure today because the Ran is important. But as we said, we read Tosos yesterday. If an Eid Echad comes, a single witness says to a person, Ochalta chelev. You ate chelev, and you remain silent. So, Abaye says he has to bring a chatos. The one who remains silent has to bring a chatos. Why? Because silence is admission. Shtika kodo, silence is admission. He says, and where do we see this? He says, there's a Mishnah that supports what I'm saying. Because the Mishnah says, a single witness says, you ate chelev. And the counters and says, lo achalti, I did not eat chelev. It says, you don't bring a chatos. So what's the inference? It's only when you counter the witness. But if you remain silent, then you would bring a chatos. Although the basis for your knowledge is only the Eid Echad. So from here we see shtik kodo. So Tosas explained that when it says he remained silent, although the Mishnah says only when he counters it, doesn't mean that. Even if he would say Eini Yodea, if he would say to the witness, I'm not sure, then he would not have to bring a chatos. It's only when his silence indicates that he believes what the Eid Echad is saying. Meaning, the Eid Echad says, don't you remember there were 2 pieces of meat, and you ate one of them because you weren't careful enough. And then he comes to his own realization that's actually what happened. So it's Ohodei love. So as a result, he's coming to this realization as a result of the information that the single witness is informing him. No, lo chalti. No, then he doesn't have to bring. Well, that the Gemara is going to explain. Maybe the silence is for some other reason. Maybe he didn't pay attention to him. Person goes over to the person and says, you owe me $1,000. And you ignore him. You see? You remain silent. That means you owe him $1,000. It means nothing. The man could be saying whatever he wants. I'm just ignoring him. Do I pay attention to him? Are you going to say shtiko dos? Maybe here also. No machlokas. No argument. As I said, too little knowledge is dangerous. You have to go on record, say, I go on record that I do owe. Remaining silent means nothing. Because the person says, you can say whatever you want to say. In court is something else. Man makes a claim in court, the person has to respond in court. Outside, we're speaking about you're out of court. And you remain silent means nothing. It means you're just not paying attention to the man. So here you'd say, man says, you ate chelev, remain silent. You'd say also, maybe he's not paying attention. So we say, no, the silence is an indication that he's admitting. He's admitting that it factually did. Because it says only when he counters. It says, if he says you ate chelev, he says, I did not eat chelev. That's when you don't bring the chatos. So what's the inference? That if you remain silent, you would bring the chatos. Because tell me greater chiddush. It says only when he says no, what you're saying is wrong. So what is the inference then? Only then you don't. But any other time other than that, you would. What is any other time? That's remaining silent. Right? That's the inference. Okay, I brought that up. Right? We did bring that up. Person normally, if a person says, I did the wrong thing himself, he says, you know, I spoke ill of you. And he tells the person, do you believe? The person, of course, if the man himself spoke ill of the other person, he's permitted to believe that he spoke ill of him. If a third party says, you know, so-and-so said that about you, you're not permitted to believe it. That's called rechidus. That's rechidus. You're not permitted to, it's like Lashon Hara. You're not permitted. What about if a man said, in the presence of someone else, the 3 people, Reuven, Shimon, Levi. Reuven says to Shimon, you know what Levi did to you? He stole from you. And Levi remained silent. Right? Well, let's say Reuven, it was 3 outside parties, say, do you know what Levi did to Yehuda? He stole from Yehuda. And Levi remained silent. Reuven says to Shimon, do you know what Levi did to you? And he says to the presence of Levi, he stole from Yehuda. And Levi remained silent. So seemingly it's admission. Because he remained silent, he's admitting that he did the wrong, that he stole. Does that establish fact? Why not? Shtika kodo. That's what the Chofetz Chaim addresses. Silence seems to be. And it's even a person normally would not tolerate if anybody says anything negative about him. He would not remain silent. Even that kind of person, you do not say shtika kodo. We don't say silence is an indication of admission. Why? Because you never know why he's remaining silent. He may be remaining silent because he feels that it's just a waste of time to try to defend his reputation. Therefore, there can be many reasons why he's remaining silent. So you cannot draw from the silence admission to what the other person is accusing him of doing. Yeah.
Implicate somebody else, he has to also remain silent. Implicate father of somebody else.
No.
Even then,
Chofetz Chaim doesn't say that. No. I'll tell you what the Chofetz Chaim says. You know, sometimes you can take a step further, you step off a ledge. Okay, take it. That's Chofetz Chaim says that let's say you sit on a panel, and the panel has 7 members. And they passed judgment, and they found the person guilty. And to give the verdict, you only need a majority. So somebody comes to one of the judges or the panel and says, I was found guilty. You're the cause of it. He's not permitted to say, I'm not the cause. He can't say, well, we voted majority. I was forced to accept the majority. Because by saying that, he's implicating the others. So there, see, he's not really, he is saying something. What he's supposed to say is, he says, I can't discuss it. You can think whatever you want, I can't discuss it. He's not permitted to say anything. What about if somebody comes to someone else and says that he suspects that he did something? Somebody stole from him. We don't know who. And nobody will be implicated by his statement. He says, it's not me. It's not me. And he's, even though, right? He's allowed to say that. Because there he's defending his reputation, and he's not implicating anyone. But if he's going to implicate someone else by exonerating himself, then he's not permitted to say that. Because by saying it's not me means the others. Yeah. No, he could say. There he has to remain silent. No, since you say it's one of so now the focus is on the others.
Well, we know that one of them will.
No, it could be all of them. No. Maybe it's you. Maybe you're part of the group. You have no right to extricate yourself where someone else is going to be focused upon negatively. You're not permitted. Correct. No, that's what he's saying over there. Because again, I'm not even saying that. I'm not even saying that. Because there you're implicating others, so you're not permitted. I'm saying even where a person is permitted to admit, but he just doesn't defend. They say you're a thief. You stole, and he doesn't say a word. Does that mean he's a thief? Well, evidently he's being accused of being a thief and remains silent. So we're not speaking anybody else implicated. So there, where he's permitted to say, "I'm not a thief," because he's not implicated, is that an indication? Silence is an admission. So even there, it's not an admission. We'll talk about that. Because the chaylev has why is the Eid Echad informing him that he ate chaylev? To inform him that he has the obligation to bring a chatas, not in any way to speak ill of him or negative of him. To inform him that he did something that he has an obligation. That's why he's telling him. So if I have an obligation, so if I don't have it, I'd say I didn't eat the chaylev. You know, you're mistaken. Why don't you say you're mistaken? Here, there's no reason to say why he didn't respond. He should have said something. If there's no reason why he did not say, and that means the silence is an admission. Because he can't attribute it to any other reason other than admission. But if you could attribute to any other reason, then silence is not admission. No, then he would say any Yodea. He would say any Yodea. I'm not sure. Yes, he would say. That's clear. He would say, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, then he would not have that. That's what Tosa says. We'll see. That's how we differentiate between the cases. Okay. So Abai says he's believed. Now Abai says another case. Shorcha nirva. Somebody committed bestiality with your animal. Valo shosek. And what? And he remained silent. Nemon. Again. So, silence is what? It means acceptance. See, the Tanatuna, we learned in the Mishnah to support it. It says, Shnevdebo aveiro. If an aver was done with the animal, shehimis al pi echod. A single witness said that the animal killed a human being, a person, or al pi habaylim. Or the owner himself witnessed it. Nemon, meaning the animal is disqualified from being used as a korban. What is the eid echod? Right? That's the first it says. We're quoting a Mishnah. If a single witness says that bestiality was committed with the animal is disqualified from a korban. Either komoda bailim, if the owner of the animal does not counter, but he accepts what the person says. Hainu al pi bailim. It says that's the Mishnah. That's the other case. Al pi bailim, the owner knows. Elo lav di shosik. Evidently speaking, we remain silent. So what is it? He doesn't know, but it's shtika kodo. He's believing the testimony of the single witness, and he's admitting shtika kodo. So what do we have to have? The application in two cases. If you already stated the principle of shtika kodo, I understand it. What do we have to give two examples, two applications of the same thing? It's the same principle. No. Right, no, we only read two cases. Chaylev and the animal that somebody committed bestiality with. We didn't get there yet. That's the next case. No, we didn't get there yet. No. He's only an eid echod. Eid echod, it's only 12 for a sacrifice, but for common food, it's permitted. It is permitted. That's what the Gemara is going to explain. That since the majority of animals are not used for a korban, so maybe that's why he didn't pay attention. Silence may not be an indication of admission. It was irrelevant, I don't pay attention, because if it doesn't in any way infringe on the financial value of the animal, I'm not even, yes, no, it's irrelevant. No, because it's not because he's not believed, because that statement doesn't disqualify, because it's an eid echod, exactly what you're saying. Why?
Because we're taking the words that the man says, and we're saying we believe it in this context, we don't believe it in this context. That's what it is.
Kochim, which is something which is much more sensitive. Therefore, we give some degree of value to what you're saying. You have to establish it as that you need evidence of two witnesses. Anything less to it is not evidence. But to disqualify, even if you don't have hardcore evidence, it's already disqualified. It creates that doubt, sufficient doubt. Okay? So the question is, what do we need to... Tzricha. Di yashmina hachamais, if it have the case of chaylev. Why over there we've already established, we say, shtika kodo. Ilav de kimle benafshei. Was factually, if he would not really believe that he is obligated, right? The ochal ovad chulun bazora. Chulun bazor, the ovad or the ovar chulun bazora lavi maisi. Why is he bringing the korban? He's bringing the korban because factually his silence is an admission for what he had done. Avonid mutarasecho. Meimer Omar. Amrino and Haide Shosik, so Chozili be made to right? Now, what does a person eat when he's contaminated? Somebody comes and says, the food that was pure became contaminated. and he remained silent. Maybe the person didn't pay attention. You know, it's really, it's not an event in my life, because I do need food when I'm contaminated. Therefore, yes, no, it's irrelevant. So therefore, the silence may not be an admission. Because we're not talking about truma. Chulin. Even if he's Torah, he could eat it. But even if he wouldn't, but when he's Tomei, definitely he would eat it. Because everything he touches or he eats. So he needs that kind of food. So therefore, it doesn't really, it's not a true devaluing of what he's saying. That means it doesn't have a consequence. Because actually, that statement causes him a loss, because when he's pure, he doesn't eat this kind of food. So he has food that's less available to him. What about the case of the ox that somebody committed bishialu with? Meimar Omar. It's irrelevant what he says. Again, he's not paying attention. Most people, they use their animals, oxen, for korbanos. You don't use it. Plowing, slaughtering, whatever it may be. So therefore, maybe he doesn't give it any, we don't give his silence any credence or any significant meaning. Tzricha. No, the answer is no. A person would have responded, would have said something. The silence, therefore, is an indication of admission. Because Ryan understood it better than you do. That's exactly what he's saying. It's evaluating people's behavior. When a person hears this, does he respond or does he remain silent? You may think. Exactly. So he's telling you, no, the average person would. As a result of that, the silence is admission. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, that's the way you present something. You'd think it's one. It's not only that, it's even that. It's not only that, it's even the third case. I once told you a story. Rabbi Chanan once asked, there's a real Litvish retort, response. Rabbi Chanan once asked the Chofetz Chaim if he had Ruach HaKodesh, which he did. But the Chofetz Chaim is going to say, and Rabbi Chanan knew he did. He was divinely inspired, but the Chofetz Chaim, because who he is, not going to say yes, and Rabbi Chanan wanted to hear it. So the Chofetz Chaim says to Rabbi Chanan, he says, I'm not sure if I have Ruach HaKodesh, aber anar bin ich nicht. He says, a fool I'm not. You understand? He didn't miss a beat, the Chofetz Chaim. Okay, and that's the Chacham, so Chazal, it's evaluating, people's behavior, how people think, how they react, how they respond. Everything is an evaluation. Yeah. Iboilo. Interesting shaila of this. This is a continuation. Ishto sinso beirechot v'shosek. A single witness comes to a man. He says, I witnessed your wife. She committed adultery. He didn't say I committed adultery. If he said that, say no, the Meis Matzvah Russia. It's not believed to say he committed adultery with the man's wife. This would be what we had in Sanhedrin, Ploni Ravani Luritzoni, right? Single witness says, I witnessed your wife was involved in an adulterous act. V'shosek. And the husband remained silent. Mau. What that silence? What does it mean? Omer Abayi Nemon. We say he's Nemon, meaning although the basis for the belief is a single witness, he's Nemon. The shtika, that means the silence means he's giving value to what he hears from the single witness. The witness. The shtika indicates that he believed what the witness said. Let's say he would count the witness. He says, I don't believe what you said. My wife would never do such a thing. Then the witness means nothing. Means nothing. He's neid echot. But if you give, the silence indicates that you believe what he's saying, then your wife's not permitted to you. That's what Abayi says. What are you talking about? A man says to somebody, your wife committed adultery. You react. It's not saying she was raped. It's not saying she was raped. Right? She was raped, and maybe he would say it's terrible, it's tragic. Committing, that means she consented to be involved in this relationship. How could a man not react? What are you talking about? Give me a break. Could I ask you a question? God forbid, somebody goes to a person and says, you know, your son just held up a bank. And you know your child. You say, what are you talking about? You're slandering my child. How do you say such a thing? You react. How do you not react on such a thing? You don't hear that? So if that's you, this you don't hear. Man goes and says openly, your wife committed adultery. Whoever heard of such a thing? You'd react to it. How do you not react? So silence means you're considering what he's saying. You're valuing what he's telling you. So the silence is an indication, right, that you believe it. Once you believe it, then she's an adulteress. That's abayi. So it would be like a shab nafsh chatich di surah. Shab nafsh chatich di surah. It would be a shab nafsh chatich di surah. You know, Gemara says that, you know, we speak when a person pays boshes, a person goes and embarrasses another person. You have to, it's considered damages. No, but it says, how do you evaluate the value of embarrassment? It depends who's doing the embarrassing and who's being embarrassed. So it says, let's say a person is unstable, and he comes and let's say even if he would spit on you, right? So you have to pay there. You have to pay boshes. Person spits on another person. It's the most demeaning act. You demean the other person. But let's say the man was unstable. So what do you do? That's not demeaning. The man is unstable. So it means nothing. It's at worst at the most minimal level of demeaning. Right? Well, not some unstable person came and said whatever he said. A person who has people may believe that person. He's a normal person. And he's valued to whatever, even at a minimal degree. But still, how do you remain silent? So shtika kodo. Even though the basis for the silence is a single witness. Rava eino nemon. Rava says eino nemon. Havidova sheberva. Eidova sheberva post mishnayim. So this you have to understand. I mean, Tosas discusses this. If I say a piece of meat is not kosher, I have 1,000 witnesses saying it's kosher. I say it's not kosher. What's the halacha? If you establish it's not kosher versus yourself, you're not permitted. The whole world can say it's kosher. So even though the Torah says to establish fact, you need 2 witnesses. But factually, if silence is an indication of that you believe it, if you believe your wife committed adultery, you believe your wife is. If a man would see his wife commit adultery himself, there are no witnesses. Is his wife committed it? Although you can't prove it in court. Person's not permitted to be with his wife because factually he knows. So if you believe what the witness says, regardless of regardless of what Torah says, you need 2 witnesses to establish fact. But if you believe it, shav nafshel yisura. So what's Rava saying? Ein dover sheber post mishnayim. To establish fact, you need 2. But did you believe? Didn't you believe him?
He agrees with the bias that would react, but it doesn't have enough status.
You say to him, do you believe that your wife truly committed adultery because so-and-so said so? He says, yes. He says, but the Torah says you need 2 witnesses. It's a but did you believe what he said? Didn't you believe what he said? So if you believed what he said, okay. Said then she's not. Then she's shav nashchich yisura.
The guy knows. If he knows, if he was silent because he knew that was correct, then she would do up.
He would have reacted. That means there's a degree he is believing what the witness said. So if he's believing what the witness said, so how does Rava disagree? Rava says, how could it be? You need 2 witnesses. We're not talking about. Because what is that Davar? If the man has no witnesses, he knows factually his wife committed adultery. Is she an adulteress? She's an adulteress. So regardless of what you need, if he believes what the single witness says, so based on the principle of versus yourself, you establish it as a woman that's not permitted to you, she's not permitted. Well, you're asking a separate question. You're asking another question. You're asking a good question. We said earlier that whenever we say Hodos Baldin Kamedim Dami, it cannot be a Chav Lachrini. It can't be to the detriment of another person. Correct? So by him believing that his wife is an adulteress, it's affecting his wife. She, of course, she's claiming her innocence. Right? There's a Mishnah at the end of Nedorim. Okay, we have an expert over here at the other end of the table. What does the Mishnah say in Nedorim? That if a woman comes and says she committed adultery, she's an adulteress. So it says, Mishnah Rishona says she's believed. Mishnah Achrona says, that later the Mishnah said, there was another Mishnah later, they retracted and said, no, why? Because a woman has her eye on another man. The husband, she can't get out of the marriage, no problem. She'll come and she'll say, I committed adultery. That's an easy way to get out of a marriage. Husband doesn't want to divorce her. Right? Man says, you'll suffer. So she says, no problem, I committed adultery. She got to court, I committed adultery. She committed adultery, okay. Now the court will force the man to divorce his wife. That's the way. So because we were concerned that maybe that would only be a ploy to get out of a marriage, so that she'll say it, even though it's not true. Therefore, we don't believe her. Okay? That's the Mishnah Achrona. Mishnah Rishona says no. Since women didn't have that, they had a degree of shame. For that, a woman would not say she committed adultery. So therefore, the woman was believed. So the Ran asked a question similar to Ernie's question. Okay? That the only time you could make such a statement if there's no consequence to another person. But by her saying she's an adulteress, that means she's not permitted to her husband. A woman has an obligation to be involved on a conjugal basis with her husband. By saying that statement, she's denying him that. When she says, I committed adultery, she's establishing herself as an adulteress, therefore I'm not permitted to my husband. But there's a consequence. The consequence is the husband now can't be with her. So if that's the case, she shouldn't believe. So why, according to the Mishnah Rishona, did they originally, even if it was lo nosei ne'ba'acher, even if we don't suspect she had her eye on another man, but there's no basis to believe her. So why is she believed? That's the Ran's question. Look, we'll get a marital counsel. The work of. That's not the Ran's answer. She shouldn't be believed. If it's a chav lachrina, if it's a detriment to another party, a person is not believed. You cannot say shav nashchit yisura. What is that snake in the basket? If you prove it's not comparable. Snake in the basket is factual. The woman says, I tithe the produce. But factually found out she didn't. So she's feeding you something that's not permitted. Here she's coming up with a story. There's no basis for the story. If you're able to bring evidence that she did, okay, so you can't be with a snake in a basket. She's feeding you non-kosher. She's not going to the mikveh. Okay, she told you went to the mikveh. Then you spoke to the rabbi. He said she didn't go to the mikveh. So that's ein dorm b'kfif achasim nochash. Can't be in a basket with a snake. No, this is shav nashchit yisura. Not even the meismatz of Russia. Doesn't make a difference.
She says that she's an adulteress. She's including it. When somebody tries to do that.
That's only as testimony. That's testimony within court. That's testimony within court. You go to court and you say, I did this. Court can't accept your testimony. Because no, because that's Odom Korev Eitzel Atzma. Rashi says, why, when a person is ploni vrani l'ritzoni, I consented to an act of sodomy. Why can't you? That means you're testifying about yourself, but you're related to yourself. Korev is posel edus. So that's posel edus. That's testimony. Here we're not talking about testimony. Shav nashchet yisura, if I establish myself that I'm not permitted, it's like saying the meat is not kosher. So the Ran asked, there's no comparison. The meat not kosher, it affects your life, doesn't affect anybody else's life. By her saying I'm an adulteress, now it affects her husband. Her husband now can't be involved with her. No, we're saying according to the first Mishnah. According to the first Mishnah, we're not saying that's why she's saying it. That was the second Mishnah. That's what we don't give her. We don't give any credence or value to the statement. Anything, but not because they know the Meismatz of Russia. Not because she's incriminating herself. It has nothing to do with this. Because she's coming with a tall tale because she wants to get out of the marriage. has no relevance to this. Einod Meisvatsu Rosh is when you need testimony. Shav Nashchil Yisur is not a testimony issue. When I say the meat is not kosher to me, is that testimony? It's not testimony. That a person has a right to establish something is forbidden, even though it's permitted. But that's because it affects me. It's limited to myself. But if that statement has any consequence to others, you're not believed. So, what's the ramifications? It's only what are ramifications?
The ramifications have to do with the relationship to the husband.
Wait a second. Nobody's going to be put to death, or nobody's going to get lashes for living with an adulteress. We don't believe her. She's an adulteress. As when the man says the meat is not kosher, he's not going to receive malchus for eating that piece of meat. The court will not allow him to eat the meat because he establishes as a forbidden substance to himself. But if he's forewarned, don't eat nevela, and he eats it, he's not going to receive malchus for eating nevela. Because that you need evidence, you need witnesses that it's nevela, it's not nevela. But based on your say-so, if you establish that, you're bound to that status that you gave it. So the same thing here. But so that's the Ran's question. How could she say she's an adulteress, even though we don't suspect her? That maybe she has her eye on another man. Factually, the Torah says a person is not believed where there's a consequence to a third party. So the Ran answers. What does the Ran answer? That, what about, even if we have, the person is not believed, just per se, but we have an anansadi, we could say with certainty that a person will not disgrace himself to such a degree unless it's true. With a woman who didn't commit adultery, would she say she committed adultery? Whoever heard such a thing? It's a level of shame which is not to be tolerated. So why should she say it? If a woman says such a thing, that tells us where there's smoke, there may be fire. Because a woman would never make that statement. So we're not believing because she has any inherent value to be believed. But if we hear that kind of statement, which is something which a woman doesn't have to make, to shame herself to that degree, we're concerned that it may be truthful. So it's not based on Shav Nashchil Yisur. It's Anansadi. She would, because she may have her eye on another man.
What about the person who comes and says that he or she had bestiality? You don't say the reason is because the person to shame himself.
Wait a second. Wait. First of all, why would a person come and say he committed bestiality? Gemara in Sanhedrin is talking about another case. Two witnesses, to convict a person to go to death, you need two witnesses. So two people come, Reuven and Shimon, and they're coming to testify against Levi. He says, Levi committed an act of sodomy, and he committed it with me, and I consented. That's one of the witnesses. So if the witness is saying that, what is he saying? He's testifying about himself, that he was involved in sodomy. Since you related to yourself, you're disqualified. That means the testimony is disqualified. Therefore, what do we have only one witness. You can't convict the person testimony one witness. So there, Rava comes up with a concept, Pagin Dibura. We split the testimony. The testimony of the relative we don't hear. You know, we hear so-and-so committed sodomy. Who he committed, it's really irrelevant. It's two separate questions, two separate cases. There's the sodomizer and the person who consented to the sodomy. It's a separate conviction. So all we hear is, so-and-so committed sodomy. But we cannot accept the part of the testimony that you were involved in the sodomy. The sodomizer they put to death. He has a big problem. If you're a Kohen, you have to walk out of the room. Okay. Well, that's what we have to do, Tosis. Tosis asks you, take a look at Tosis. Ravom evim tomar, keva d'shosek, ushtika kodo, dami loma lo teser olov, v'chelo yochel asosa olov chaticha d'isura. That's exactly what we're asking, which we're discussing. Even if the Torah says you need two witnesses to establish fact for erva, but if silence means he's believing what the witness says, and he believes his wife committed adultery, Let's say a woman, she's flirtatious, and the way she behaves with other men, he's convinced she committed adultery. And he says, well, you're an adulteress. And that's in his mind, because he's paranoid, he believes she's an adulteress. He's not permitted to be with his wife. There are no witnesses. So Tosa says, so why is the single witness worse than if there are no witnesses? It's irrelevant to herself. Yishnai made him yokum dover. Ain't dover sheber v'post mishnayim. That's Tosa's question. But I'm getting back to Ernie's. Ernie's asking a good question here. From the Gemara over there in the Mishnah in the Dorim, the only reason why, that from the Ran you see, why she believed to say she committed adultery, because we have an Anand Sadi would say with certainty no woman would shame herself to this degree unless it had truth. So it's not because Shav Nafshchet Yisura. That's Chaval Acherim. A person cannot establish a status where it's a detriment to another party. So over here, when the witness said, when he says, I believe that what? That she committed adultery. Shav Nafshchet Yisura. Right? He's establishing it, but there's a consequence there. If that's the case, his belief causes that she should not be permitted to him. No, he has an obligation. Okay, that's the answer. That's the answer. See, the woman has no way to extricate herself from the marriage unless the husband agrees to divorce her. The man, even though there's a consequence to it, if he wants to terminate the relationship anytime he wants to, he could terminate it. He gives her a get. If he gives her a get, does he have an obligation? There's no conjugal obligation from the husband to the wife. It's a basis for divorce. If the man says, I'm not going to be with you sexually, the woman could come to court and say, we don't have a marriage. The court will force him to divorce his wife. Right? It's okay. So he divorces. By saying that I believe she's an adulteress, that consequence, he has a right, because he has control over that. Because anytime he wants to terminate the relationship that he should not have the obligation, he has a right to terminate that. Right? It's like, again, a woman says, I'm a married woman. Is she believed? But you realize now if you're married, that means you're not permitted to me. That means I can't marry you. You know something? I have a right to control my life. Right? I can marry who I want to marry. But now that you said you're married, now whatever it is. The consequence. But I have a right. Because I have a right to decide who I'm going to marry, who I'm not going to marry. Same thing over here. He has a right to say she committed adultery, because factually, if he wants to terminate that relationship that he has no conjugal obligation to his wife, he could do that. But on the wife, she says, I committed adultery. There, she's locked into a relationship that unless he's willing to release her, he can't release her. So therefore, the consequence she's bringing about, it's not within her power. So that was the Ran's question, why she believed. That he says, Anand Sadi. Because we could say with certainty a woman would not put herself in that shameful position unless there was truth. Where? Mishnah Rishon, he would have to divorce her here. He would have to divorce her.
Because otherwise, if he doesn't divorce her, then he's putting her into that.
But that's Tosa's question on Rava. What does Rava say? Should be no worse than Shav Nafshech Yisura. Okay, we have another minute. Okay? See, Tosa's answer, Rava is of the opinion, do we say Shavna, do we say Shtika Kodoh? Rava is saying, when a single witness says that your wife committed adultery, silence doesn't mean admission. Doesn't mean admission. It means, are you believing the single witness? Single witness has no credibility. Abaye is learning the silence is admission. So according to Abaye, it's Shav Nafshech Yisura. According to Rava, he says, no, silence doesn't mean that. Doesn't necessarily mean that. Because since a single witness has no credibility, my silence doesn't necessarily mean that what? That I'm agreeing to what you're saying. We'll discuss it tomorrow.